Hey, Lion, can you talk about following IG/OF models and liking their pictures online? All right, this is a question that I get very, very often, right? And because I feel like this is like a common question that I feel like a lot of women really struggle with. A lot of women meet guys and everything seems to be going pretty great. In a lot of ways, they satisfy a lot of their wants and needs and their you know what I mean, giving them everything that they want and all the signals, towards a healthy relationship. But one thing keeps bothering them when they go and they check their Instagram activity. A lot of women notice that a lot of these guys, right, follow a whole bunch of these quote unquote Instagram models who have these very revealing pictures online. And here, there, the girl who's dating him is there wondering, is this a red flag? Is this something that I should voice out? Is this something that I should tell him that bothers me, or should I shut up, right? And not look like a stalker, like I have been checking his online activity. So let me address this question, and maybe I'm going to give you a bit of a different perspective than I think a lot of you guys have on this situation. All right, because what I want to say and what I want to start with is that my advice to you, right, when it comes to this question, right, men following a whole bunch of very revealing Instagram models or OF models, right, if you know what I mean. My advice about that as a whole would not change at all. Whether the guy that we're talking about who's doing it is 100% completely single, hasn't been dating anyone and is not dating anyone, versus a guy who's like in a relationship with someone, or a guy that have been dating for a little while. The advice on this topic, as far as I'm concerned, is going to be exactly the same, because my opinion on that is exactly the same. You see, the reason why, most men would do these things, or the reason why they follow all of these Instagram models who have, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of followers, and OF models and all of these things, right? It's not because they're there trying to like replace you. Most of the time, even if they do and go as far as like comment on their pictures or whatever, it's not because they seriously believe, right, that they're going to like, wow this girl with their comment and potentially go on a date with her and actually get, close to her and actually, be in a relationship with her. Most of these guys, and when I say most, I mean like 99.99999% of these dudes who do things like that have no intentions and no hope and really they don't think that they're going to like build a relationship with these women. The reason why they follow them is very simple. The reason why they follow them, it's because it presents a dopamine rush, right? They consume this content, right? That triggers when they scroll through their phones and they go through these pictures, they go through these videos. What does that do, right? It triggers their brain, right? Hormonally, their brain starts releasing, right, a lot of pleasure hormones, right? It starts flooding their brain with things like dopamine, which just makes them feel good. It's very similar to a man who's scrolling through, pornography, a man who's scrolling through, OF, a man who's scrolling through like these IG models. It's exactly the same reason, right? It's exactly the same thing. It's just triggers a certain thing. And the more they comment, it continues triggering that same thing, right? Because if you look at that, right? If you look at that girl's comments, right, you'll see like literally thousands of guys who are commenting the exact same, ridiculous comments. So it's not because they're trying to like replace you, or because because a lot of times the question that I get is that, this girl or the girls that he is interacting with online look nothing like me. So, I mean, is he settling for me? Does he even like me? I look very different. I am very different than all of these girls, right? Like, am I his type, or what's going on here, right? And I want to tell you that it's really not because they're trying to like replace you, or that they don't like you and they like them better, or they secretly want to be with them and not with you. No, most of the time it's literally just because they're experiencing some sort of release in their brain. Maybe not just in their brain, but anyways, that's not a topic for this video. But they're experiencing a certain release in their brain when they're consuming this type of content. Right? So again, it's not because they're like actively, I like her better than you, or I want to replace you with her, or whatever. But here's what I want to tell you, right? Any guy who engages with that and goes as far as like flooding their Instagram feed with that kind of stuff, right? what you should question is not their loyalty necessarily, right? Because they're not going to get with this girl. I can guarantee you that. They're not going to get this with this girl. And the more they comment on that girl's pictures or whatever videos, the less likely they are to ever, right? Because they just become a fan, right? They become a fan. These girls are not doing it because they're trying to build relationships with dudes either. These girls are doing it because literally they're making a lot of money doing these types of things. Right? They're doing it for financial reasons. And guys like him only, you know what I mean, support them potentially, as far as they go, is maybe supporting them to a certain extent financially. They're not there trying to find a boyfriend, right? And if they were trying to find a boyfriend, it's definitely not going to be within their fan base, right? And the more the guy's going to engage with their photos, whatever, like I said, the less likely he will ever, you know what I mean, be able to really connect with that girl in real life and maybe be in a relationship with her or anything like that, right? So the reason why they do that, again, is just to, you know, release certain hormones. So the question that you should be asking yourself is not whether or not, you know, he's going to be loyal. So what you should be asking yourself instead is whether or not you want to be with a person who lacks self-control, who lacks discipline, right? Because these things, lack of self-control, lack of discipline, right, are things that are definitely going to have a huge negative impact on your relationship going forward. If you start dating someone and you see this type of behavior, right, the question that you should be asking yourself is, hey, do I want a guy, right? Do I really want a man who is unable to just, you know what I mean, handle these urges, who needs to, you know, constantly have that dopamine hit just to go through his day, right? Who floods his Instagram feed with these types of things, right? That again, just like all they do is that release and provide that short-term pleasure. So that's the questions that you should be asking yourself. And if that doesn't align with the type of man that you want, then my best advice is not to go and confront him, because the point here is not to change his behavior and not to try to mold him and change him into the person that you want to be, but rather find someone who already has the qualities that you are looking for in a partner, the qualities that you are looking for in a man. So yes, it's an important thing that you should be paying attention to, right? What does that person, do on a regular basis, right? And again, paying close attention to things like discipline and self-control, especially when it comes to men, right, is going to only steer you in the right direction. If you really pay attention to those things and you make decisions based on that, it's going to steer you in the right direction. It's a good indicator of someone who lacks certain things that, hopefully, when I say this, you agree with me, of things that I honestly really appreciate in a man, and he lacks on those things. So does that align with the type of partner that I want to attract into my life? And the answer is no. I would just stand up and walk away.